Hi, I'm Britt Dewey, and this is my AEP 859 case study, Meeting Student Learning Requirements. Section 1 is our case study. Kim, who I am portraying in this case study, is an assistant principal at Triscuit Middle School. This middle school is a 7th and 8th grade building with around 650 students and 80 staff members. Most of our staff is Caucasian. We are an inner city school with around 80% African American population, 17% white population, and then we also have 3% that identify as other. 65% of our students are on free and reduced lunches. Our classes consist of a mix of inclusion, regular ed, and multiple disability students. We also have low parental involvement in our school. Our assessment scores are quite low. Math and reading are an area that particularly need revamped, and writing is also an area of concern. Writing is very poor. We have low engagement with the learning process, so we're looking to improve our curriculum and get our assessment scores up. Current curriculum is not culturally responsive. Teachers prefer lecture and are unmotivated to try new things. We are very, very traditional. Use textbooks and paper assessments to in our learning process. Assessments are the same for all students, and we want a higher focus on writing, specifically critical thinking, writing, and then reflection in our writing. And like I said, our assessments are not culturally responsive, so we have one assessment that does not meet the needs of the diverse population of our student body. Section 2 is our legal and ethical issues. By law, students are required to receive differentiated instruction molded to their various needs, and it's the teacher's job to teach to that variety, that diversity. So teachers are required by law to follow the AEP of special education students, and our teachers must do a better job of meeting the individual needs of the students. So our teachers are using a one-size-fits-all approach to their instruction, and obviously this does not reach the needs of our diverse student population. So this is something that could potentially become, or really is, a legal and ethical issue at this point in time. So this is something we're going to need to revamp to protect our teachers, but more importantly to meet the needs of our students moving forward. Section 3, synthesize our case. So a new curriculum that is culturally responsive, differentiated, and engaging is needed at Triscuit Middle School to help bring up the achievement scores and get the students involved in the learning process. Section 4, the facts of this case. So the people involved are myself as Kim, the assistant principal, teachers. Again, teachers are very traditional, mostly white. Our students lack engagement in the learning process, 80% black, 17% white. Our parents are uninvolved with our students in our school. Place. We're in the Rockford City School District, which is a large urban school district. Again, we're Triscuit Middle School, 7th and 8th grade building, 650 students, 80 staff, and again, we're in a large urban area. Our program. So our area of concern is our low achievement test scores for our state, math and reading specifically. We're looking to revamp our writing program, our writing instruction as well. We have a traditional model, lecture-based instruction with textbooks and paper tests. And our learning is not engaging. Our students are not being involved in any sort of way in the learning process. It's simply a sit and get instructional approach, which is not ideal. Our teaching is not culturally diverse, even though we have a diverse population in our school, so this is something that's very problematic in itself. And then we have, again, new focus on improving curriculum and writing. Review of the case is Section 5. The current model of curriculum is ineffective and prohibits student growth. Lacks cultural diversity in instruction. Again, our assessments are a one-size-fits-all assessment, and some of our students may or may not understand what's even being asked on the test. They might not have any cultural knowledge, background knowledge that fits their individual needs and their individual experiences. So this is something that will need to be changed. If our instruction and our assessments are all based on one cultural side, our diverse student body population might not understand what is even being asked. And that shows because in our assessments, sometimes our students don't even answer the questions. They just leave them blank. So that either shows that they don't know how to do it, or they don't know what's being asked. They can't relate to it in any sort of means. So our assessments will need to be revamped. Our students lack engagement. Sit and get is the worst instructional technique there is, in my opinion. That's why I put this quote in here. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. That's by Benjamin Franklin. I thought that was very fitting for this particular case study. We disregard individual needs of our students. There's no differentiation. Everybody's getting the same thing. Our special education students, our disability students, and our gen ed students are all receiving the same instruction, the same assessments. That just simply cannot happen. Students do poorly on short answer and extended response essay prompts. It's hard to stay engaged in a lecture-based classroom, so they might really not be retaining any information because they're simply, again, sitting there and listening to the teacher give the information. Questions might not be tailored to the cultural diversity in the school. Again, this is an area of concern because all of our students have different experiences throughout their life that they, that they learn from and are kind of their reference points. So, again, they might not even have these experiences that we're using in our assessments, so they don't have any background knowledge on anything like that. So, that's problematic. Section 6 is options and possible consequences. Kind of starting to look at some pros and cons. So the first option that we could use as the assistant principal, this is some of the options that I came up with. We could take no action, stay the course. Again, the state has recommended that we are in this improvement plan, so we could just go along with that and see where we end up. Again, it doesn't seem that our school is bought in this approach. There's just I'm not trying anything new. We're not moving forward in any sort of way. We're simply lecturing and hoping the students grasp something that we talk about. Again, this is directly impacting our student engagement. There's really no involvement through a lecture-based system. Administrators, the option 2 would be the administrators make a decision. If I'm simply the one making the decision, a possible negative of that would be that it doesn't allow for any teacher input. So the teachers will have a harder time buying into something if they have no say in it. So that would be a potential consequence. Option number 3, teachers come up with ideas on how to improve. So this is the administrators are out of the idea generating process, so teachers decide exactly what we want to do. The teachers decide the curriculum that we're going to use moving forward. A consequence of this is there's no administration control, and because we are a large school, there's going to be a lot of different teachers, so they all might have different opinions, so that may limit the clear direction that we are going to use moving forward. And then option 4 would be to create a building leadership team. So the administrators would pick out some teachers that have similar visions of the school, and they would collaborate and help decide the best path forward with the administration team. Some teachers may feel left out because we're not going to select every teacher for this. It'll just be like the curriculum building leadership team. So we're going to select some teachers we think would have a positive impact, and they will help us generate ideas. Again, some teachers may feel left out. So evaluating the options. Again, option 1, take no action, stay the course. It's easy to implement. That's a positive thing because we literally don't have to do anything. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. A con is, again, there's no change or improvement in instructional practices. And to me, this one is obviously not a good choice. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result. So we really can't justify this option. Administrators make a decision. The pro administration has control of the school's vision. There's less opinions, and so we can easily get a clear focus on what we want to accomplish. The consequences of this action, would be teachers have no voice, and buy-in will suffer, most likely because the teachers have no say. They're just being told what to do. The next option, teachers come up with ideas on how to improve our school system. Obviously, the teachers will have a voice there. That's a positive thing. Cons, there's no administration input, and there may be too many opinions that hinder our direction. The last option is create a building leadership team. A focus group allows for a clearer vision and adds perspective, because we pull in some teachers there. And then some teachers may feel left out, and that they may think their voice does not matter. Section 8 is choosing the best option. To me, this was a very easy decision. We're going to create a building leadership team. I believe this is the most effective way to establish positive change. If I'm the administrator, I'm going to build my team around the teachers that I believe have the students' best interest in heart. They're going to be my teachers who are more innovative. They're going to want the students to be involved in the learning process. They're going to make learning fun. Sitting there being told the information in a lecture-based system is not fun for the students. Students don't want to be there, and if the students don't want to be there, there's really not going to be much learning taking place at all. So I'm going to build my team around the teachers I trust, who have a shared vision of student-first learning. That's the way I would approach it. I would create the team, and then we're going to survey the teachers to help give all teachers a voice. Hear them out, see what they see every day, or hear what they see every day, and then just see if there's any commonalities between the teachers' opinions. So maybe there's something that we're missing as the curriculum team, and this will help let all voices be heard. Okay, and this team is going to be the team leading change throughout our Triscuit Middle School. We're going to come up with the best strategies and instructional practices to implement for increasing student engagement with the learning process. And then once we have this set, we're going to train our teachers how to use these approaches effectively. Section 9 is implementing the decision. First of all, I think it's important to share the data and scores with the staff so they understand why a change is needed. To me, it's very self-explanatory. Students are involved with the learning process. That's where I draw the line. Obviously, that's not effective in any sort of school setting. I'm then going to create a building leadership team, gather the survey ideas from the rest of the staff, make sure we didn't miss anything, and then we're going to discuss in detail the areas of need. Again, we're struggling reading, math, writing. We're also struggling with student engagement. Our instructional practices need revamped, and then our multicultural assessments is something we should look to do to help all students, all diverse students. And then we're going to create a shared vision. Next, we will share the plan with stakeholders, and then once everybody's on board, has a clear set vision, we will grant professional development and focus on our trainings that will help us implement this plan going forward. And to me, I think the best instructional practice there is right now, in my opinion, is blended learning. So we're going to give training on blended learning, and then project-based learning, implement that in there as well. We also give training on how to incorporate writing into our curriculum. All subject areas need to incorporate writing as much as possible. Writing is a very intimate process where students are required to critically think. If you can write it down and explain it through writing, you're going to have a pretty good grasp on your information. Okay, and then as the new year goes along, we're going to collect new data, and then from that data, we're going to make any necessary adjustments as we move forward. And that is my AEP 859 case study. Thank you for your time.